With health updates and more, this is Pro Wrestling Central. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Touching on advice he received from The Undertaker, who he was coached by on WWE LFG, Shiloh Hill told Muscleman Malcolm, in terms of the wrestling, in terms of like the technical or like the ins and outs of the wrestling business, the biggest thing was taking every opportunity. You probably saw that day with CM Punk where I didn't cut a promo and then he was upset with me. I was upset with me. Everyone was upset with me. And yeah, Undertaker very much stressed the importance of taking those opportunities. But I actually think that the most important thing that he taught me, and that all the legends taught me as well, not through like them telling me, but just by example, was like, just because you do all of these things and accomplish all of these things doesn't mean you have to be a miserable person to be around. Honestly, all the legends were super cool, super helpful. They cared so much about us as like young wrestlers getting into the business that they were so passionate about. And they're just like nice guys and girls that want to get to know us and want to help us. That is probably the thing that I'll take with me the most. Like further down the line when any of us do start to have some success or whatnot, just maintaining that humble perspective and looking out for the younger people that are coming after you. Greg Gagne accused former WCW President Eric Bischoff of stealing the idea of the New World Order, with Bischoff responding on podcast Heat Wrestling, because he kept that little secret to himself. First of all, a couple things, just from a credibility perspective. And that's why I love doing these things, because you hear these little bits and pieces, how people, much like Russo did in the beginning, just take a real fact, twist it just enough so they come out looking smart, but still talk about an actual incident. That way, there's a grain of truth in there somewhere. You've really got to dig. With Greg Gagne, it's even harder to find that grain of truth. It's really amazing. First of all, I was the TV people. There was nobody from Turner Broadcasting that would sit in on WCW meetings. That was me, and I didn't place any value in Greg's creative ideas. None. Greg was good at teaching psychology, laying out a match, working with talent. I'll give him that. In terms of psychology, there were only a handful of people I've worked with who were as good as Greg. Let me take that back. There were a handful who were as good, but there were several who were much better. Terry Taylor, for example. If you got him focused, he was one of the best. Jeff Jarrett, of all the people I've worked with, Jeff's at the top when it comes to working with younger talent and helping them understand the story on paper and how to tell that story in the ring. Greg was really good at that, and that was his only role. I watched Greg and Vern unfortunately mess up more good opportunities than I can count. Talk about learning from mistakes. I learned more about what not to do from Greg than I ever learned what to do, especially when it came to TV business or anything creative. Of course, he wanted to sell the AWA library. It wasn't worth anything at that point, and Vern needed the money. I get that. I don't hold that against him or Greg. That's logical, but to take all of that and spin it into this idea that I stole the NWO from Greg? Give me a break. The dirt sheet world thinks I stole it from New Japan, even though New Japan never had anything even close to the NWO storyline. But that's how the narrative started. So Dave Meltzer and Greg were basically fighting over who I supposedly stole it from, when the truth is they're both full of Neither one of them has a clue. So Greg, you're a loser. You've been a loser most of your life. You only got to the spot you were in because your dad let it happen, and it hurt him. It hurt the AWA business. Greg Gagne had no credibility then, and he still doesn't now. I feel bad for you, Greg. Not bad enough to grab a beer with you or anything. It's kind of like here in Wyoming. Sometimes you're driving down the highway and you see what looks like roadkill, but it's not quite dead yet, and you feel sorry for it. You want to put it out of its misery, but you can't, because that's actually illegal. And that's kind of how I've felt about Greg for a long time. You want to put him out of his misery, but you know you can't, because there's jail time, lawyers, all kinds of other So I just learned to let guys like Greg and Vince Russo put themselves out of their own misery. Eventually, it all catches up with them. And this is just one more example. As Hook returned to AEW during Double or Nothing over the weekend, Bryan Alvarez added on the Bryan and Vinny show, well, Hook was back on TV, but he was still getting evaluated, so I'm not sure that they cleared him to do anything other than hitting a guy with a golf club, so that's what happened right there. Providing a health update on Chelsea Green following her match against Zelina Vega at Saturday night's main event, this was said in the Wrestling Observer Daily Update. Chelsea Green suffered a broken nose from the 619 by Zelina Vega. I don't expect her off TV at all. It was a clean break. On X, a fan said this about recently released WWE star SHOTZI, writing, "SHOTZI unfortunately was injury prone. She had a great gimmick she was able to build. This may be a blessing in disguise. She might want to become a mother and now she has time." The wrestling star replied, "You idiots don't know what injury prone means. One major injury in 12 years is injury prone. Injury prone is a term that you want to be smart marks overused to sound smart. 100% of the wrestlers you were calling injury prone are not. They are just human." Since July of 2022, Scorpio Sky has only had 6 matches for AEW and Ring of Honor, as AEW president and ROH owner Tony Khan addressed this at the media scrum following Double or Nothing. "Yeah, I like Scorpio Sky, and it's interesting that Sky's name came up recently. He mentioned he's looking to come back. I had talks with Sky about different ideas and things we could do. Sky's someone who's been here since day one, and I saw he said that. We actually had talked to Scorpio Sky about doing something, and we ended up going in a different direction. It's a long story, but it makes sense in context. I do like Scorpio Sky very much. I had an idea for Scorpio Sky that I thought was a good idea. We talked about it, and it didn't work out for reasons between us, but also for totally legitimate reasons, and I'm fine with that. I'd like to use him for a different idea when the time is right." Recently, Sky talked about not being on AEW programming lately, telling the Creating Character podcast, "Well, I mean, anyone that has followed me obviously knows that things have been a little different over the last couple of years. I know I'm healthy and I've been healthy for a long time, and I've been wanting to compete, but it's just one of those things where, what can you do? You only have like so much say. You have this much say, you know, and yeah, you do what you can." And the thing about it that's tough though is there's that side of like, well, you're getting paid, you know, and people will say that, like, "Oh, you're getting paid." My agent will tell me that. "Oh, you're getting paid good money." Like, but I think about it like this. Like, does Tom Hanks make movies to get paid at this point in his life? What I'm trying to say is you don't grow up dreaming of getting paid to not do this. Yeah, you grow up dreaming of doing it, and that's where I think the frustration comes in. Tony Khan was also asked about other companies such as WWE scheduling events at the same time as AEW shows, to which he replied, "It's pretty consistent. I'd say it's the most event head-to-head scheduling since Jim Crockett Promotions. So a lot of scheduling. They went that way, and I can tell you this will go a lot differently than that did." Explaining why Bronson rejoined Seth Rollins' faction at Saturday night's main event, Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio, "Yeah, I think it adds a dimension, and it makes the group it makes them even more of a strong group, because also the other thing with Bronson being there is that, you know, when you have the matches where they have to lose, and they probably won't be doing much losing early on, but when you have those matches, you don't have to beat Braun Breaker, who, you know, is obviously someone they have as a WrestleMania main eventer, whereas Bronson Reed is not going to be a WrestleMania main eventer, but, you know, I mean, he's very good. He's very good in his role." after making a post online that said diagnosed with breast cancer. NXT star Fallon Henley has clarified the situation, with Ringside News writing that Fallon Henley gave fans a massive scare recently after it was believed that she was diagnosed with breast cancer, but now Henley has cleared the air on the matter and made it clear she is 100% healthy. The former NXT Women's North American Champion took to Twitter and addressed a comment from her own account on her Instagram, which mentioned being diagnosed with breast cancer. The comment said, "Am diagnosed with breast cancer," and Henley made it clear that it was actually a mistake. Henley said it was copied by accident from a private conversation and wasn't about her. She thanked fans for their concern and made it clear that she's completely healthy and ready to compete. "Hey y'all, I'm so sorry. I appreciate the concern, but that comment was not about me and was a technical error carrying over a copy from a personal conversation. I am thankful for the compassion towards the situation, but please know that I am 100% healthy and competition ready." And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.